Christopher "Chris" Ford is an American professional wrestler. He is best known for his tenure in World Championship Wrestling under the ring name Crowbar, where he was a one-time Hardcore Champion, a one-time World Tag Team Champion with David Flair, and a one-time Cruiserweight Champion, which he held jointly with Daphne. He is also known for his stints in the World Wrestling Federation, Extreme Championship Wrestling and Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling. He currently performs on the independent circuit either as Crowbar or Devin Storm. Along with Terry Funk, Jerry Lynn and Raven, he is one of the only wrestlers to have wrestled matches in WWE, WCW, ECW, TNA and ROH. Professional wrestling career. While attending college, Ford began training under Iron Mike Sharp. After completing his training, he began wrestling on independent circuit under the ring name Devin Storm and formed a successful tag team known as the Extreme with Ace Darling. After a few years on the indies, Storm wrestled in about 30 matches in Extreme Championship Wrestling in 1996. Including losing to Taz via countout at Hostile City Showdown, to Cold Scorpio at November to Remember in a Loser Leaves Town match, and to Bowles Mahoney at Holiday Hell. World Wrestling Federation in 1997, Ford, while using his Devin Storm name, took part in a tournament in the World Wrestling Federation to determine the first ever light heavyweight champion. He wrestled against and lost to Taka Michinoku, who later went on to win the tournament and the title. From 1998 to 1999, he would later appear on editions of Shotgun Saturday Night, losing to the likes of Droz and D'Lo Brown. He and Ace Darling briefly reunited as a tag team, but not using the Extreme name, going against the then newly formed team of Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor in a losing effort. World Championship Wrestling. After leaving the WWF, Storm signed a developmental deal with World Championship Wrestling. After signing with WCW, he reformed the Extreme with Darling, but the team saw little success. Following the disbanding of the Extreme, he was placed in a faction with David Flair and Daphne, where he debuted under the name Crowbar. The gimmick of the faction saw all three members act mentally insane, with Daphne becoming known for screaming in her matches and Crowbar being prone to using high-risk moves. On the January 3, 2000 edition of Monday Nitro, Crowbar won the World Tag Team Championship alongside Flair after winning a tournament against the teams of Lash LaRue and Midnight, Buff Bagwell and Vampire, and finally Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner. They later dropped the title to the Mamalukes on the January 19 edition of Thunder. After losing a rematch at Super Brawl, Crowbar teamed up with Daphne to defeat then Cruiserweight champion Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch after Daphne pinned Sitch on the May 15 edition of Nitro, thus making them co-champions. Crowbar soon faced Daphne to determine the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. Crowbar held back during the match, but still dominated the smaller Daphne. However, Candido entered the ring and hit Crowbar with a reverse piledriver, and Daphne inadvertently pinned him while trying to revive him and thus became the second woman to hold the Cruiserweight Championship. Crowbar soon began feuding with former tag partner David Flair as well, in which both men traded wins on Thunder. Crowbar soon began chasing after the Hardcore Championship, which he won from Reno on the November 6 edition of Thunder. He later retained the title at Mayhem after defeating Reno and former rival Big Vito. During his reign as Hardcore Champion, he began a feud with Terry Funk that culminated at the final Starrcade pay-per-view, which saw Funk defeat Crowbar to claim in his third and final Hardcore Championship. Ford was later released from WCW in March 2001, right before the company was bought out by the World Wrestling Federation. During his time in WCW, Ford continued to work in the physical therapy field when he was not on the road and returned full-time to physical therapy after his release from WCW. Independent circuit. After the closure of WCW, Ford, returning to his Devin Storm ring name, defeated fellow WCW alumnus Rick Fuller in a dark match on the April 10, 2001 edition of SmackDown. He then spent some time in the now-defunct World Wrestling All-Stars promotion, where he feuded with Sabu. During his tenure with the company, Storm became the WWA's first and only hardcore champion on October 24 when he defeated Danny Dominion in a tables match. In early 2003, Ford wrestled briefly for Extreme Pro Wrestling under the names Judas and Salem, losing his first match to former New Church Eli Malice and winning the second against Vic Grimes. Ford later wrestled in several dark matches for World Wrestling Entertainment, the first being on the April 10, 2001 edition of SmackDown. From mid to late 2003, Ford, alternating between his Devon Storm and Crowbar ring names, wrestled against the likes of Joey Matthews and former WCW alumni Scott Steiner and Sean O'Haire in dark matches before SmackDown, as well as on Sunday Night Heat and Velocity. On June 4, 2004, Ford began working for Health South as a site coordinator and as an outpatient physical therapist. In addition to working in physical therapy, he returned to wrestling on the independent circuit under his Devon Storm and Crowbar ring names and began competing for various National Wrestling Alliance territories as well as other Northeast independent promotions, such as the East Coast Wrestling Association, Jersey All-Pro Wrestling, Body Slam Wrestling Organization, and the Pro Wrestling Syndicate. On October 6, 2012, Storm was defeated by Sean Daivari in the House of Hardcore's first show. Storm entered the Extreme Rising World Championship tournament, which was eventually won by Stevie Richards. He defeated Sabu in the opening round but was defeated by Rhino in the semi-finals. Total Nonstop Action in 2002, Ford, under the new name Tempest, joined Total Nonstop Action Wrestling and became a part of Father James Mitchell's stable, the New Church. During his stint in TNA, Tempest took part in TNA's first and only Hard 10 tournament, losing in the first round to the Sandman, who later went on to win the tournament. He returned in 2013 at the one-night-only show, Hardcore Justice 2 in a hardcore battle royal that was won by Shark Boy. Personal life. On August 7, 2004, Ford married Dina Caravella. They have two children, Nicholas, who was born on December 20, 2007, and Mia Marie, born on May 20, 2009. Ford studied at Keene University for 6 years and graduated with a degree in physical therapy. Chris and Dina currently work at their own healthcare facility in northern New Jersey where Chris is a physical therapist and Dina a registered dietitian. In many wrestling interviews, Ford has claimed to be the world's biggest Star Wars fan. In wrestling finishing moves as Devon Storm, Eye of the Storm, Thunderclap as Crowbar, Falling Inverted DDT, Mindbender. Signature moves: diving crossbody, diving elbow drop, European uppercut, Frankenstein, a headbutt, moonsault. Sometimes while springboarding, multiple kick variations, drop shoot, spinning wheel, springboard back, multiple leg drop variations, slingshot, somersault, springboard, multiple splash variations, corner slingshot, diving slingshot, multiple suplex variations, belly to back, German Northern Lights, vertical plancher, sometimes while performing a somersault. Managers: Dawn Marie, Lady Alexandra, Daphne, Father James Mitchell, Belladonna. Nicknames: Dangerous, The Dark One. Entrance themes: Terrible Lie by 9 Inch Nails, Personal Jesus by Marilyn Manson. Championships and accomplishments: Century Wrestling Alliance CWA Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, East Coast Pro Wrestling ECPW Heavyweight Championship, ECPW Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling and Timothy Plasma, East Coast Wrestling Association ECWA Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, Eternity Wrestling Association EWA Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, Independent Superstars of Professional Wrestling ISPW Heavyweight Championship. International Fighting Network (IFN) Heavyweight Championship, Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation (MEWF) Mid-Atlantic Championship, MEWF Tag Team Championship with Mark Schrader, NWA 2000, NWA 2000 Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, NWA New Jersey Hardcore Championship, NWA New Jersey State Heavyweight Championship, NWA United States Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, NWA World Light Heavyweight Championship, NWA New York Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, NWA New York Television Championship, New Jack City Wrestling NJCW Light Heavyweight Championship, Richmond Championship Wrestling RCW Tag Team Championship with Ace Starling, World Championship Wrestling WCW Cruiserweight Championship 1, WCW Hardcore Championship, WCW World Tag Team Championship with David Flair, World Wrestling All-Stars WWA Hardcore Championship 1. Crowbar held the title jointly with Daffney during his reign.